Rob.
No, I was going to build up to it. It's the veto process, of course. We will have a look at where we're going to head. It's pretty much the biggest part of this matchup where we decide.
I just want to correct one thing that you said before. They've changed the way the veto works slightly, and you can play the same map twice in one night. Luckily, we didn't have that happen. We almost had it happen.
Oh, wow.
I thought for a second
that was
happen.
way too close. Okay,
So,
I definitely did not brush up on that.
No. Don't worry, it confuses me too. That's why I'm not going to explain it on broadcast, because I'm going to explain it wrong. And whenever I do that, the admins hound me for weeks about it. We're going to play Kafe. If you want to have a brief look at the stats before that, one thing I want to say is interesting. It came down to a choice between Kafe and Bank for Onyxian, and Onyxian chose Kafe. Funnily enough, last map veto, it came down to choice to Fury between Bank and Kafe, and they chose Bank. If Onyxian have already beaten them on Bank, what's Kafe going to say if they're even more comfortable on Kafe than they are on Bank?
Well, that's the question, right? We always talk about the best of ones kind of being a favoured map for both teams because they both get so many bans. However, ultimately it is the team's pick who bans last. So the fact that we had pretty much an identical veto process that ends up with Bank and Kafe at the very end, I find that to be very intriguing. It's obviously, both of these maps are obviously a little bit more comfortable. Kafe have been played by both Fury and Onyxian. Just a quick recap on that. Onyxian beat Sinister 7-5 on Kafe, so a close game. However, Fury drew with Wildcard on Kafe. So these results are, I don't know, are they telling? Are they saying that it's like very, very vastly different kind of teams when I'm talking about their opponents?
Yeah, and it's very difficult to say, especially with the wildcard example. Usually would say if you've seen a draw against wildcard on Kafe, well, that's really, really good because wildcard's such a good team, but they have not been in top form. And maybe that's actually partly attributed to wildcard, that result.
Yep.
I think it's safe to say this is a good map for both teams, and it's not a map that either of them are surprised that they're playing tonight because it's ended up as the last or second to last map in the veto twice running now.
Yep. So just very quickly, I don't mean to kind of wither that point away. We do have another thing to address. We addressed it at the start of the broadcast, and you will most likely hear me or Dev mention this throughout today and tomorrow. That is, of course, the exclamation point donate. Now, I don't need to explain again how terrible the fires are in Australia, and again, for those of you who haven't figured it out by our accents or maybe the region we're in, we're currently in Australia. We're in Sydney, which is New South Wales. We're currently in amongst what is most of the smoke that's been blowing across Australia. However, you know, I don't like to get into specifics because it is actually quite upsetting. It's been absolutely devastating for a lot of families, for a lot of people inside of Australia, but not even to start talking about the wildlife that have lost their lives. It is just horrific what is going on right now. So if you get a chance, guys, please feel free to come in and donate. Again, it does not matter whether you have a lot to give or whether you have a little bit. It all adds up at the end. So again, if you get a chance to, please feel free to jump in there.
Those links are direct to the charities as well. That's not through ESL or Ubisoft or anything like that. It's directly to the charities that Ubisoft themselves, Ubisoft Australia, made a donation to as well. So, yeah, directly to the people who know what they're doing and know how to get the help to those who need it.
It's a little bit of a somber topic. Sorry if the mood just kind of dropped down a little bit there. It does obviously take quite a lot to talk about this kind of stuff. It's not something, I mean, we're not news anchors, right? We're just here to talk about a computer game. However, you would be shocked at how many people this has actually affected. So again, I do apologize for having to bring the mood down, but we will be bringing the tone back up, of course, because this is the rematch from our previous map. We have a good chance right now to see how Onyxian and Fury both match up against each other on Kafe. Both teams have had close results. I have to say that Onyxian are just looking the better team right now.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. And that's, talking about the context of the whole season, that's really exciting for Onyxian because last season they were a hair's breadth away of making the APAC finals for the first time, making LAN and having a shot at going to the global finals as well. And it was Fury who stole that opportunity away from them because Fury beat them on the very last play day. And now it looks like Onyxian has sorted out some of their issues. There was a lot of roster turbulence at the start of the season. They picked up 2 players on with a roster change that happened straight away, and they really didn't see it coming. And yet they've been coming out swimming, and they look like potentially the second best team in this league right now.
I would have to solidly agree with you. Let's have a look whether the community agrees with you as well, Dev. We're going to see a heavy favored award, Fury. Man, that really, I tell you what, it's just the Fnatic logo. It looks like Fnatic, and people are just going, yeah, the boys.
I'll pay that. Yeah, the boys. Let's go, Fnatic.
27%.
Fnatic are in London, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, just to
This
make
is
sure.
this is Australia.
Fury and Onyxian, just to
Yeah.
make sure, not Fnatic,
Not Fnatic.
Fury.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
got
sure
a new logo. It's nice.
Yeah, I'm sure the social media manager will have a bit of a laugh at that
Yeah.
one too, because I'm pretty sure they were the one that kind of brought it to
Yeah.
light to begin with. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that is definitely another team inside of Australia who are actually doing very well right now in Pro League.
Yes, oh, very much so at the top there. But
Yep.
Onyxian have a chance to really make their mark as well. They've only
Yes.
played this will be their 6th game, whereas Fnatic and Wildcard have both played 8.
Yep.
So Onyxian are doing really, really well, and they lost the community vote. They are currently without an organization. They're looking for representation. If you know any good orgs with great dedication to the scene, looking for some talented players, go hit them up. But hopefully before too long, we'll see them get some representation. And I think once that happens, we'll see the community vote switch in their favor.
I feel like as Australian commentators, half of our job is sales team. I feel like we've
So,
we marketed.
are you in the market for a team?
That is a new skit. We're gonna bring in the next show with a new skit like that. But
really, really cheap.
I mean, if we found Wildcard a team. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't find Wildcard a team. They found Wildcard a team. It's still enjoyable to kind of bring that round full circle. It's now Onyxian, and later in tonight's matchup as well, we have ex-Mindfreak who are also looking for an org.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
Mindfreak
hey.
called TBD. We're a smorgasbord here in Australia. If you're an org looking for a team, we got plenty for you.
Matchmaker Dev.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to change your name to.
Well, recently we got Kanga picking up rhythm.
Yes, that
which
is
great.
true.
And Kanga has come out with such a fight this season
Yep,
too.
yep.
Looking so good. They'll play later tonight against TVD, the former Mindfreak roster. So there's a lot of talent, a lot of rising talent in this region, which has the potential to go global. And Nixon, we've talked about, they might make APAC finals. It's looking likely. Wildcard have fudged up a lot of their matches so far against teams that they should be beating.
Yes.
And coming into the second split, it's going to be a challenge for them to bring that back and claw their way back to the top 2 spots that they'll need to get to APAC finals and have a shot at returning to a global Pro League finals for Season 11.
Yep.
Onyxian looking to be a contender for that spot. Fury, maybe.
Yeah,
They
question marks, right?
They set the start on top 4, and I
Yep.
think that the way that they've been playing so far in the season, maybe not tonight, but in the season, it looks certainly possible that they can achieve that.
I find it interesting that Onyxian are currently undefeated.
Yes.
It is 5 matches straight now that they've been able to win. Now, I can stress this point. I don't want to stress it, but I can stress the point that the 2 teams they have played, I would say, are in the bottom 4 of our Pro League.
Yes, Sinister and Kanga, they beat both 2-0, 2-0. But Kanga also had a really good upset going 6-6 against Fnatic.
Yes.
So, and was it Kanga who went 7-5 against Wildcard as well? So,
Yes, it was. Okay, wow.
so
Talk about coming with a bang.
Kanga are a team who have been doing so good this season, coming in from Challenger League, and yet Onyxian didn't let that get the better of them, and they
Yep.
put them away 2-0. So that gives me confidence for Onyxian here. They've held their own against teams that they should be beating, which
Yep.
is what Wildcard has failed to do.
Yes.
And even Fnatic to some degree with that draw to Kanga. If Onyxian can hold their ground against these teams that they should be better than, maybe they'll have a shot against Fnatic and Wildcard as well. And maybe they won't even need to beat both Fnatic and Wildcard to get to those top 2 spots, depending on how much Wildcard and Fnatic mess up against other teams.
I feel like this is kind of a trend that we've seen with ANZ, which is, you know, the top 2 teams realistically, I don't want to say not being up to the task of dismantling the teams below them, because they well and truly do that. However, it's almost like it's not like, me and Raven were talking about this. It is literally the gap closing between
Oh, yes.
mid to lower tier
Oh, yes.
Rainbow Six and the top tier Rainbow Six inside of ANZ. And I think, not even ANZ, right? We're talking about
Globally.
APAC and globally. Sorry, I was going to go APAC then globally,
Sorry,
but you beat me
man.
to jump. Man, what you
Always
doing?
jumping
But
the gun.
I feel like at APAC, right, because what we've seen in the past 2-3 qualifiers, well, actually, we'll take away the 6 invitational qualifier because Fnatic came in and just went pop, pop, pop.
Nixon had to forfeit though, so that's a bit unfair on them.
We're gonna give that to him, right?
All right.
Well,
Benefit of the doubt.
Benefit
don't
of
know
the
how
doubt
they
on
would have
that one.
performed against Fnatic.
But I think the point that I'm trying to make is the fact that, yes, we are now coming into a part of Rainbow Six where we are starting to see those teams be even closer matched than what we might have originally thought.
Yeah.
Dev, before we continue to talk, I'm going to throw it to a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
I just step up and make it happen, it's a lifestyle. Living young and restless, yeah, we quite wild. If I want it, I'ma get it talking right now. And I ain't got no regrets, it's my time now. Lights out when you see us talking moves. You don't know that's the topic. And if you talking juice, well then you know I got it. Nobody got it like me. They can try, but can do it like Vinny. Yeah, no permission. I got it.
Turn my heart into something gold. No, I sold my soul to the devil long ago. I rode it all along on your wave right before it broke. Time was thrown down the well, so I let you go. by your side. I fell up when you fell down, but we stayed in.
Are you an organisation looking for a roster? Are you looking for the love of your life? Well, boy, do we have the opportunity for you.
Onyxian and TBA are both single and available and ready to mingle. Yeah, okay, I took it a little bit too far there with
I wasn't sure where we were going to draw the line, how far we were
I
going to go.
didn't know either, but then you said love, and I was like, dude, this is too early in the relationship to be saying the L word.
Matchmaking online heaven. If you were here earlier, you would understand the reference. If you don't, basically, we are matchmakers here in Australia. We find organizations for teams, so that's the important thing.
But you know what else we find? We find games for viewers to watch, and we've just found Kafe sitting around ready for Onyxian and Fury to rumble.
Not only ready for them to rumble, ready for us to rumble.
Yeah.
Ready for this.
Are we going to get in as well?
Nah. We'll sit this one out. We'll sit on the sidelines.
Probably
for
for
this
the
one.
best.
Yeah, we might sit up in the rafters. What do they call it? The peanut gallery?
That peanut gallery is up the front because it's where you can throw peanuts at the stage.
I thought it was the old cobbers that are up in the rafters.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know. I actually
don't
don't
know.
know the reference. I just know peanut gallery. That's all I've heard. So I was just going
I thought the peanut gallery was up the front, but I might be wrong.
I'm going to go with you because you're the smarter one. That's why you sit in that seat. You sit.
But you know what else is smart? Onyxian banning Ying.
Oh wow!
Because
okay.
Warden was just dabbing all over them with that flashy girl last time.
Yeah.
And you know, Onyxian were having none of it. They just don't want to play with that. They're going to start on the attack this time, just like the last game as well. Defensive ban's going to be the same as last time. Fury got rid of the Thatcher last game as well, so very much a similar pattern so far. It's just that Ying ban that is of note to me, and I like it. Onyxian, if you're not good at dealing with the Ying, and Fury are good at playing it, get rid of it.
I wonder whether Warden's sitting there laughing right now.
He's like, dude, what is that? That's mean.
Who knows? Maybe they weren't even ready for Bank, and they were like, let's just go Ying. Let's just yeet Ying in there. That was going to be... I was going to get tongue-tied then, so I had to slow the process of saying that down. I'm so glad that we did. Well,
all right.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of it, James, because this is the second matchup for tonight. Already seen both of these two teams played 7-4 with the result on Bank. Now we head to Kafe. Kitchen is where we will start for the defensive side, which is, of course, Fury.
Yeah, starting downstairs is somewhat uncommon, and well, typically, especially overseas in Europe, where this map has really been explored deeply by teams. Kitchen is the third choice bomb site by many teams. A lot of people prefer the top floor bar primarily, and then secondarily will go to library. Both of those bomb sites rely heavily, or I guess allow heavily, for significant presence on the top floor, which is probably the strongest position to hold on this map. Whereas this bottom floor down here, it's very difficult to anchor because there's a lot of places on the bomb site that are exposed to angles above through the floor. And it's very difficult to roam heavy because if you do that, the attackers can just push horizontally and get control of bomb site and lock you out. So we do see a lot of opportunities for different strategies to be employed on this bomb site. It looks like Fury going to mix up information gathering with information denial. Mozzie, Mute, Valkyrie, and Legion all contribute to information gathering and or information denial. And with the Thatcher ban, it's going to be all the more difficult to clear out that utility.
I feel like last season I know last season that we didn't see Thatcher banned a hell of a lot in the ANZ region.
It's just everyone's favorite ban now.
Yep.
It used to be that it was the Latin America ban, and it was the Airwolf ban, and then just every team in ANZ bans Thatcher now. It's like Fnatic started doing it permanently. Airwolf, I think, sorry, not Airwolf, they're called Giants now. My god, I'm stuck in the past. They're still doing it, and all these ANZ teams too. I mean, even in ranks. I ban them every rank game.
Yeah, but that's because you're sweaty.
Tell
me it's not true.
Guilty as charged.
Tell me it's not true. All right, let's move into the nitties. To the nitty and the gritties. We've got Geo currently just droning out, finding themselves. They've taken a fair bit of time just to really set themselves here in Onyxian, taking that third floor and systematically going down. Yeah,
lost that first drone really early. We saw Shade take it out. Shade has been the main aggressive player for Fury, though it wasn't with huge success on map number 1. Onyxian played really well to suppress that aggression, and Shade ended up with a lot of opening deaths and not a lot of opening kills. But now Onyxian have taken control of the top floor. They're bringing their Nomad to prevent any flanks. See how Fury deal with that later into the round.
Oh, just holding in behind the bars now. Onyxian have truly taken that second floor control. They've now got plenty of time. Still a minute 30, well, minute 20 by the time I finish the sentence off that clock, but they're just slowly but surely chipping away.
Taking that map control, and now, of course, opening up the floor, looking for anchors on bomb site, but Fury have done what is becoming a default strategy here of playing heavily in VIP, reinforcing the garage. Warden with the shotguns. Excellent operator for this position. Vassal uses flashbangs, and he'll be walking into a crossfire because of the angle opened inside of Freezer. Very difficult position, but he's got a pinch working with God Legion. He may get taken out here. This isn't a favorable gunfight for him, but why does Warden take the wide angle? Inadvisable when using the shotgun. Vast can't find the second kill with the low magazine size, but he's taken some huge ground here, and Onyxian are looking great.
Yeah, Golden was locked in there. There was absolutely nothing they could do. Look at this from Onyxian. It is left in a 1 versus 5. Shady, the real Slim Shady, would have been lucky to have walked away with 1, but no, it is to be none. Geo finishing it off that round, but by golly gosh, talk about getting slapped.
Onyxian are damn good on that execute. Little things, but as soon as they find just a smidge of ground and the tiniest advantage, they go full send and send all of their players searching for those kills. And one thing I will say, Cynics, he's the coach subbing in for this team. He has really been pulling his weight. He's been jumping on those support roles and doing a good job, and even finding a couple kills where it's needed. So hats off to him.
Fury opting for a similar strat as they were on Bank, which is just get off that site. Don't reattempt it.
Drone it out, suss it out, start to move in. As soon as you have an advantage, just keep that pressure ramped to high.
Yep.
For Fury, rather, they fail on Kitchen, which I mentioned is the tertiary bomb site to a lot of teams. And then they move on to Mining and Dining, which is the 4th bomb site for a lot of teams. This used to be the second most favored bomb site on the Kafe pre-rework, which is casting our minds back quite a long way. But on new reworked Kafe, this is the least viable site, at least it is perceived to be so, by most teams. So it is a bit of a surprise to me that Fury are taking this bomb site.
Now, if you cast your mind back to map number 1 on Bank, Fury pretty much did a similar thing where they started in towers on Bank, then they went to open, and then they went to basement. I'm pretty sure that was how that proceeded. So we're seeing Fury do a very similar kind of strategy there. You go to the second or third favorite bomb site, then you go to the least favored bomb site.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but I'm saying that they're going toward the top next.
Maybe, and in that case, in Bank, oh, hello. Vast has just found a nice, cheeky, easy kill onto Rock, nice and early. Must have been a spawn pick. I think I missed exactly where that was. Can I just have a moment to appreciate how good Vast has been tonight.
He-
Dragging out.
Absolute animal for an Onyxian. I mean, the fact that top fragged with God Legion in that last
Oh, yeah.
in that last map.
And he's the captain in IGL, at least. I think he's still the IGL. I don't know whether other players, potentially Cynics, will be helping out with that.
Lead from the front, right, Dev?
Yeah, works for him. Shade, it's trademark aggression, but he falls off. A smart move. He's been droned out several times. How many more drones is he going to take out for Onyxian? That's another one. We talked about how good Onyxian are with their drone. What's the word?
Economy?
Economy. That's the word.
Gotcha.
Sorry, my economy is in shambles.
Your economy or your...
My brain,
There we go.
everything.
We got there in the end.
My lexical capabilities.
Yes. Struggling on a day that is...
Ooh.
Oh, wow. Actually, I thought for a second
Yeah,
that they were...
God Legion was just getting awfully close to that bandit, and top floor control established. Nice work. And despite those mute jammers, Onyxian managed to get that top floor without too much of a hassle. Fury decided instead of contesting aggressively to fall off. But one thing is we've seen so many drones get taken out
Yes.
for Onyxian now, and I wonder, moving into the latter half of this round, is that going to bite them in the butt?
Oh, God Legion's definitely getting his fair share of information, and there's another drone gone. However, now they can, realistically, I think they can start to hone in a little bit more. They've done a lot of droning, they've done a lot of prep. I want to say for this round, they've still got all 5 players alive. Fury are on the back foot here. Technically.
Golden's just playing this 90 hallway. Sushi does find the first kill. It's a C4 onto God Legion, but it's a drop into the bomb site, or at least into Train for Onyxian, and they're going to try to get a plant off in the corner of mining. Golden needs to push his position. How does he find the kill onto Cynics? Onyxian numbers disadvantaged, but Diffuser goes down. All up to Red and Vast to hold. Vast finds his second for the round. Need to see him and Red step up here.
Nicely done from Red. Brings it back to 2-on-2.
Oh my God!
Oh, what? Hello. Quad kill. Going for the ace. Shady, though, he might be able to deny it. You bet your bottom dollar he's going to. Red now taken out. Plenty of time left on that defuser. He might actually be able to get this. He might just stick it. That's 7 seconds he's going to have to hold it for. Does Vast have enough time to get into position? He's going to have to take the straight-up gunfight. Red denies it. Is there enough time? Surely this is not doable for Shady.
Isn't it? No! He might not have got the ace, but he may as well, because Vast clutched out that round for Onyxian in a 2 versus 4. He got every single kill that his team needed.
Whew. Spicy.
You got to credit Shade there. Not only did he have an excellent first shot onto Red here. This was really nice flick there, but to even get this second kill, unfortunately he left it just too late.
Yep.
Didn't have enough time for the defuse, and it was only by about, what, 0.8 seconds?
Just quietly, Vast dropped 4 players and then got Shade off of the diffuser.
Yeah, he did.
What a play.
It's basically an ace. And what's funny is almost that exact same thing happened from Onyxian, from a different player on playday number 1 against Onyxian, where it was Geo in a 1v5 post plant, got 4 kills and died to the last guy, but he didn't have enough time to defuse. So Onyxian, I guess that's just pulling a trademark play for them at this stage. And look, they seem pretty good at Kafe. They showed Onyxian, sorry, they showed Sinister, whose boss on playday 1. It was a close match though, 7-5.
And that's the fact of the matter is right now is we generally see Kafe being quite heavily defender-sided. And we see a lot of the results. I mean, look, pretty much...
It was one of those defender-sided maps.
Like, any map can be defender-sided depending on... I mean, this is just like... This is a really just blanket statement right now. It can... Like, any map can be defensive-sided. However, it's not uncommon to see a 4-2-5-1 kind of half toward the defensive side.
So for Nixon to go up 2-0 at the start, it's a good sign for them. Now this is the same thing that happened on Bank. They found their first 2 attacking rounds, ended the hub 4-2. So Fury went out of the game. They managed to claw back a few, but Fury last map, they only won 1 time on the basement and 1 time on the top floor. Now it could be the same case here. Even if Fury win this round, they may not be able to get the next one. May not be able to repeat this victory on this bomb site.
Hopefully see a lot more success for Fury this time around.
There's no contest inside Piano for Fury, holding this top floor bomb site. Cynics has droned all that out as well. Fury, a lot of information denial, Mozzie and Mute together. But that's not really going to matter because Cynics droned Piano without a worry. Now he's going to try to open up this main wall. Is the Bandit in a position to trick that? That's the question. No, he's not.
Oh, wow.
Well, I guess you can't trick it because Red's watching from above, so well played by Onyxian to just have all their T's crossed and their I's dotted. This is really good time management for them as well. They've made good progress. A lot of damage taken by God Legion, but it's not a kill.
And again, just, you know, to reiterate how much they've actually been able to achieve with piano control. Well, not necessarily piano control now, but they had a lot of that control. They've opened up the wall into freezer. Shade's now getting pushed back up the staircase. Still needs to be careful from his backside. I believe there was one chasing down by Red stairs. However, that looks to have fizzled out into nothing. But look at this from Cynics, just being able to join the teammate in towards Cigar.
Nice.
Nicely done from Geo. And now that will give Onyxian somewhat of an advantage. That's that Legion taken out for the last minute of this round. And slowly, Onyxian could just start to chip away at this defense.
Great run out though from Shade, an ambitious one all the way out the north side. That means that telegraphs to Onyxian that one player is offside. They're going to take advantage of that and storm the bomb site. Sushi finds one with the C4. Warden hears that diffuser plant, but he doesn't know where it's going.
Oh.
And he finds that oh-so essential kill onto God Legion. But Red, pushing into the bomb site, finds and finishes one. Gets refragged out by God Legions. It's a 3 versus 1 now for Fury in the retake. And it's all up to the coach subbing in of Cynics to hold this diffuser.
Again, you don't want to count him out. Half the time starting to tick away. They don't know of his position. He might be able to catch them on the backside as well. 2 players now watching that line. He's going to be able to deny it. He might find a second as well. Had he been able to back away there, he might have just been able to jiggle it until realistically the diffuser had come down to a point where it's vital. But regardless, Fury, fortunately enough, have 2 there to trade.
Keeping those numbers all the way through the end of the round for Fury really helped them there, set them up nicely for that retake. Onyxian didn't have a lot of teeth on their entry. They decided to try to force the plant down instead of playing to get kills on the execute. And it is a difference in philosophies. Do you try to have the main goal of your execute to plant, or is the main goal of your execute to be in a position to plant and then use that to get kills? And Onyxian didn't find any kills on the execute except for one after the bomb went down from Red. And, well, in that position, he was really outnumbered. So Fury locked out of that top floor bomb site. They can revisit it later in the half once more, but they'll have to give another shot. They're actually going to go around the world. This is their 4th different bomb site so far. They're going to head to library. Oh, sorry, no, they're going mining. My bad.
They've gone mining.
My bad.
I just...
Are they allergic to library? Like, don't they read? You think they can even read, Rob?
Sounds like a Hermione quote. Jeez. A bit rough.
You've got dirt on your nose. It's Leviosa. Not Leviosa.
Oh man, just the subtle approach to that quote just caught me. I thought you were going to say something about the round, and then bang, out of nowhere. Harry Potter, bang, bang. The quotes are on point. What a joyous occasion.
Yeah.
Attackers must
Much
locate
joy.
and defuse
Alright,
the bomb.
so that was a nice little vault, cheeky. Yeah, dining, mining, and dining. And that's one thing I love about this bomb site, it rhymes. Mining and dining. Rock going for an aggressive spawn peek. You almost saw him, but UMP, you really need to nail that first bullet. Otherwise, you're unlikely to find anything on the spawn peek. It's a risk that it didn't net him anything, but didn't get punished, so it's not too bad. Rock actually died spawn peeking in the previous attack on this bomb site.
Yep. So we say no harm, no foul.
At least this time around. He still is at a net -1 on his spawn peak so far. And once again, Onyxian are going to go for map control. That's what they always do. They take top floor. Warden goes for a cheeky C4 through the open hatch. No damage dealt. cautious of these angles. Cynics was the one aggressive on that piano window. Oh, grab a drone.
Well, they've bought a little bit of time.
Oh, what?
Okay, Shady. What? Shade?
That was a
Boy?
pre-fire from surely God Legion all the way inside Cigar through the wall. And he gets the injure. He's also droned out. Oh, this is risky though.
Oh.
The player goes downstairs and they're so desperate for this kill he can't aim downwards. There's another player up there that they just ignored. The Valkyrie. God Legion's so desperate for this kill he still can't find it, and they're completely tunnel visioned on this player. He finally gets the kill, but I can't believe Onyxian didn't get punished for their tunnel vision then.
I really saw Fury being able to capitalize on that. Not only did they have one down supporting that, but like you said, there was also one still chilling out.
The Valkyrie is still upstairs! She never left. She was prone in the corner of Cocktail the whole time.
Harry Houdini, they call him. That is... I don't know what's happened there for Onyxian to kind of fall apart in that aspect, but regardless, I mean, it's ended up 4-4, right? So it's kind of just left things at an even. It's the Jaeger for the Nomad. Oh, what?
But Valkyrie's still upstairs and still not dealt with, and now Onyxian are in a shambles. 3 players left. Surely you can deal with them just around this corner. You have to find the kill. Sushi, no way, is not allowed one more. And now a 3-on-3, not the worst position to be in for Onyxian. Every time Fury's made some progress, there has been a refrag eventually. And Rock's way off site. He's playing below, likely to deny with a C4. If Onyxian don't have enough players to go and hunt him when the execute's happening, that could mean the end of the round.
So between that and Legion just sitting there consistently putting goo mines out, they've got to go raw into this side. I don't know whether they've got any other way to do this. So Golden just has to hold here. He's going to get another goo mine out, but he gets caught in the backside. Now it is all up to Rock. Will he go for the C4? Will he be able to do it? He's been able to spot 2. Will he have enough time here? Dev.
They planted on the table, so he couldn't get his C4 through. Nice little move from Onyxian, just to make sure that that wasn't possible. Now Rock's in a really difficult position to 1 versus 3 retake. Surely they're not going to give him independent gunfights. They do, but that doesn't matter because oh man, no, it was nasty. But yeah, okay, come on, Onyxian. They say, all right, guys, you know, let's not throw this, and they lock it out very nicely. It was look, I'm not going to lie, I was worried there for you, Onyxian. I was quite worried, but you managed to lock it out in the end, and that tick on the scoreboard's all that matters.
Well, we're being persistent here. Fury are going back to fire.
Why do they want this bomb site? Oh, reading room. Come on. Now I can make my reference about going around the world.
It is nice to see Fury sort it out in the end. I mean, a 3rd attempt when neither of them have... actually, no, to be fair, that second round was quite close, but it still came down to a 1 versus 2. I can't even remember who it was there.
Well, just then it was 1v3.
Yeah, well, that one was a 1v2, 1v3, but previously in the second round it was a 1v2, and Vast managed to clutch it out for Onyxian. But still, the point is, it's not... hasn't been the cleanest from Fury there, so I'm glad to see that they've moved on. That was where I was getting to. We finally got there, Dev.
And look, they can go win or lose this bomb site. They can go bar afterwards, and that's the only bomb site that they've won so far.
Not exactly what you want to see.
No, a 2-4 half wouldn't be great. If they lose this and then win bar, and you know it's not a given that they're going to win bar. If they lose this, they'll have to win bar to end at 2-4. If they win this, then they have a good chance of winning 3-all. Which would be a great position to be in, because look, we've mentioned Kafe has had defender-sided tendencies, but with the maturity that it's gained in the meta, I don't think that it is inherently defender-sided at this level of play. So anything more skewed against them, probably not looking great, but a 3-3 is a great position to move strongly into their attacking half.
I think that's the best way to put it, right, is the tendency is more toward the defensive side. It's not favoured at all. It's just kind of, you know...
It's just so variable, especially because the game changes so much from one match to another, depending on play style. We don't see a lot of rigidity. Not every team plays the same. Not every team has the same operators banned. Let's talk about the setup though from Fury for this library bomb site. A lot of mute and Mozzie still to deny that information. Thatcher's banned, so Nixon are going to have to be careful with their drones. Clever use there of the lifeline instead of a Thatcher grenade to destroy the mute jammer. I like that. That lifeline.
Seen that a couple of times come through from Zofia.
One thing about that though is missing that. Okay, player rotates downstairs. The loss of that lifeline charge, it's one lifeline charge that they can't use on the castle barricades, and they probably might not even know that Fury has a castle at this point. And the only utility they have to get rid of the castle barricades is Zofia, Buck, and potentially even Hibana. Wow, this is a very dangerous position from Red. Right around the corner from all these players.
Scanning for devices and traps.
I don't know exactly either. I believe there should be a mute jammer on the other side of that, so unless they can see the feet underneath that castle barricade, it's going to be a little bit awkward. It looks like Cynic's spotted them.
I think that was a missed grenade, but it's a great rotation.
Oh!
God Legion finds that kill, so essential. No refrag on the horizon. He was watching the angle of the Mozzie for just a moment, but gets off it too early to find the kill. Shade elsewhere on the flank does take out Cynics, and this was what spelled death for Wildcard when Fury played against them. That flank potential from Shade can be so effective up the red stairs.
Rock as well, just sitting toward white stairs, just constantly being a nuisance. This is not looking all that terrible for Fury right now. Onyxian dropped down to 45 seconds, but with Geo being able to take down Sushi, things start to swing a little bit further toward Onyxian. The long line held from Shady right now. He needs to hit this opening shot. He's going to be able to get the engagement, but it is going to be Vast that secures it. Warden has to come in from behind now, but it just does not look possible. Vast again just popping off for Onyxian. And Warden, there's not too much left for you to do here, but you still got a shot.
Consolation prize with that kill there. Oh, he hasn't reloaded properly. Oh, good, good. I was really worried there he was going to take a gunfight like that. Gets thrown out. Yeah, this is really not going to happen. And he'll get taken out from the cocktail balcony. Excellent job from Onyxian. It's a rough start. They made a good entry to take out that player on cocktail. God Legion smartly used the rotation prepared by the defenders across that space, the gap between the two balconies. Destroy the railing, you can sprint right on across. And Fury, despite that being the only position that player could get pushed from, Golden was not watching it.
Nope.
And that forfeited them that first little bit of control. Nixon just kept up the pace through, and now if Fury want to end this half with a chance at the game, they're gonna have to do something on Bar and Cocktail Lounge.
Trying to pay the piper. You would hate to see this snowball out of control of Fury, especially after, one, how well they did play on Bank, but also two, the fact that this is the map they drew with Wildcard.
Yeah. And part of that was Wildcard not punishing Fury for the aggression that they had, and Wildcard stalling out. And Nixon, I've got to give them credit. Thatcher is banned, and Fury have been religiously running information denial, Mute and Mozzie. No Mozzie this time. Even the castle is information denial because you can see through a doorway if you've got your eyes or your drone, but the castle blocks that line of sight, so that denies information as well. And despite Fury bringing all that information now, having Thatcher banned, Onyxian have not been stalling on their attacks. When they've been failing, it hasn't been because they're standing around not sure what to do. They've lost all their drones to these mute jammers and to players shooting them. Onyxian, despite coming up against those hurdles, are making steady progress on their attacks.
Alright, we'll see whether Golden has an impact. Legion in the previous round was taken off the board. A minute left, and I'm pretty sure that was on the third floor as well.
Oh no.
Jeez, that's the pulse as well.
Absolutely red. That's the third time a player from Fury has died right at the start of the round attempting a spawn peek or a peek outside. In this case it was Shade, and what are you doing? Golden wants to go for that aggressive refrag, or was it Rock, I think? God Legion very cautious of it. You can see he prepared his drone outside so that he could check for that spawn peek. Cynics with the gold skull rain charm. Man, that's a long way back. Don't worry, Cynics. I was gold in skull rain too. It was my first season, actually.
Is this one of those back in my day?
It was. Back in my day, I actually used to play ranked with Cynics in skull rain. Maybe we got the gold charms together.
That was a big boomer moment, but we'll just continue on here. Red going to be denied a little bit of information. Also, a bit more drone economy starting to be chipped away on Onyxian. Something.
Oh, what? What are you doing,
Wait.
Warden? What was that, mates? Just walking through an angle clearly exposed to the skylight where Nixon have consistently been playing. Just a bit of a no-brain moment from Warden, and that's just going to slide this round even more in Onyxian's favor.
What is Rock trying to do? Okay, well, that's... Oh, not bad.
Didn't shoot the Claymore there. Or was there no Claymore? I wasn't.
No, there was a Claymore.
Cheeky.
Destroyed it on the way out, so nicely done. There was one rappelling out on the east wall. Sushi gets taken down. Onyxian, one by one, they destroy Fury on this top floor defense.
The only bomb site they managed to win at all. And here we have Onyxian serving them straight back with the potential for a flawless attack round. Now, Ella did receive a buff. That Scorpion a bit more powerful than it used to be, but come on, this is not going to happen. Flawless round to end out the half, and we're looking at a 5-1 scoreline for Onyxian going into their defense.
I know we don't like to say that it's defensive sided, but that is not.
No, that's
That's not.
I mean, any game, any half that ends in a 5-1 towards either side, you're thinking, man, this is a tall order for that team with only one round to their name in order to climb back to the top. There's a lot of work ahead of Fury here to get back in this game. They didn't manage to steal away a point from tonight on Bank, and it looks like that pattern may well continue on map number 2 here.
Yep.
I don't think they'll end with anything at the end of tonight. And on the flip side, a Nixon in their 6th game, they will have overtaken Wildcard by the end of tonight, and Nixon still have a game tomorrow as well, where they'll be able to extend their lead even further over Wildcard.
Well, I mean, by the time they get to 8 maps played, they will have overtaken Fnatic at this rate.
Oh, really? Because if they win this, they'll be on. Oh, so they were on. What was it? 12 points before today. I can't.
Yes.
We'll look at the standings at the end of today.
12 points.
So, yeah. So I mean, at the end of today, they may well be around 18 points. I think Fnatic was sitting at 22-ish or so.
Yep.
So if Nixon manage to win both their games tomorrow, they could be in a really, really great spot to not only challenge Wildcard, but also potentially to challenge Fnatic as well for that #1 spot. And then who knows, if Fnatic and Wildcard end up drawing against each other, that's going to give Onyxian even more of an opportunity to steal that 1 spot.
There are some crazy scenarios that are being shown here in this season of Pro League. I mean, had Fury been able to come into this matchup, who knows? We could have seen Fury at second, but I don't want to say this shuts the door for Fury, but it definitely makes it a lot harder moving forward.
Camera feed up and running.
And Onyxian, well, this is their revenge match against Fury, who prevented them from going to LAN last season. If Onyxian had just beaten Fury last season, then, well, they would have gone to LAN. Wildcard would not have gone to Tokoname. Get that through your head.
Very different situation.
Yeah. Oh, great pre-fire there. Perfectly read. And those bullet holes won't save Vast. 2 early kills for Fury. We've been hyping up Onyxian, but 5-1 isn't a deal sealed. You're in a pretty good spot. 2 early picks. They got to follow through here.
A bomb has been located.
Just needs the seal of approval at this point from Onyxian, but Fury aren't too happy to let that happen. You don't want to count them out though. 3 players left on Onyxian. They still have a fair bit of intel left. Geo just going for those long-range shots. MPX, maybe a tap, maybe a little watermelon bursting for him, but I don't really see that happening right at this point. Just watching their flanks though, Fury are so alert right now. Minute 25, they are in great position.
Oh, but that's nice. Cynics, very tight angle held, and it's 1 kill sliding their way. MRIQ on the board. Warden once again caught off in an awkward position. Red's covering Cynics' back just perfectly. Rounding this corner is Zafir of Sushi. Hibana wants to open up this wall to expose Cynics' position in a safe way, but what a flank from Red through the piano soft wall, and that's going to allow Cynics to rotate out as well. Just great teamwork there from Onyxian. They turn this back into a 3-on-3, an even man count. And
2 players have just gone roaming. Cynics as well as Red have both basically just gone down to try and take a bit more of a an awkward line. Fury with 3 players left alive. This is not looking the best now.
Fury getting short on information, short on utility, but Golden does find that essential pick onto Giovanni, the main player at Cocktail Lounge, and that gives Fury an opening. Are they going to take it? They want to start to push inside, but I don't believe they have a rotate into the freezer. This could be it. Red finds 1 kill. Diffuser is going to get planted, but no, they know they have to just fake it. They can't stick the diffuser. What's happening right now? Red finds his second. Can he close it out? No, but Shade, he can't secure the final kill. If he had just half a second more, he might have finished Cynics, but it wasn't possible. And Onyxian head on to match points.
Bit of a ring-a-ring-a-rosy around Cocktail Bar then. That could have been exactly what Fury were hoping for. Dev, I don't like to say it, but that is a huge oversight from Fury. 5 versus 3. They had such an advantage early on. They had all the intel they could have needed. And just methodically, Onyxian have just brought themselves back into that round. And it wasn't like it was just this sporadic choice, like a lucky kill here or there. If you go back and watch how Onyxian brought that back, it was incredible.
And the best thing that we saw was that moment when Red covered Cynics' back, got that aggressive kill onto the player in piano, and allowed both himself and Cynics to rotate out. Now just imagine if there had been a player from Fury. Remember, Fury were in a numbers advantage, significant numbers advantage. Imagine if there was a player on the skylight, would have completely denied that rotation from Red and Cynics both. But no, Fury weren't covering all the angles and gave Onyxian extra freedom that shouldn't have been allotted to them. Now they're on match point, and not only match point, but they're looking at a 7-1 potential victory here. And not only is that a huge confidence booster to them, but it's a boost to their round difference, which makes a huge difference in the ladder standings, moving into the later stages of this season. If Onyxian are a tiebreaker, that round difference could mean the difference between a land spot and once again having a disappointing season staying at home.
And just to reiterate that, Onyxian have already had a 7-1 performance against Kanga. They've gone, so if you have a look at their standings, it's 7-5, 7-4, 7-3, 7-1, 7-4, and 7-1. And that sounds so good right now.
And Kanga and Fury, these two teams that Onyxian are 7-1-ing or potentially 7-1-ing. I love this from Cynics. That is cheeky. A lot of cheap information outside from the Echo Drone. But like we were saying about about Onyxian, or rather both of these teams, their performances previously, both Kanga and Fury have been teams that took maps off wildcard, and now Onyxian has dealt with them in such a way. It's looking so good, and it's only getting better with God Legion finding that first kill.
This looks like it's about to snowball out of control for Fury. Hasn't been the greatest start and proceeds to be of concern. Defensive side into attacking now. They need to try and lock this, or what will be this 8th round. However, it still just doesn't seem doable. They've already locked his OP. Oh my god, I could not even open my mouth before they managed to take down another 2. They get a consolation frag taking down God Legion, but it doesn't look like it's going to be much better. However, Shade does have some thoughts of his own.
These 2 kills from Fury. It's exactly how Onyxian managed to pull back their 3v5 last game. And oh, there's the Yokai going down. Cynics does have 1 remaining, but he's going to keep that safe in the bomb site for late round information, because it's not late round yet, not at all. There's a lot of this round left to go. A lot for Fury to work with. Vast playing a very aggressive position, perhaps inadvisable in this numbers advantage when Fury have information on site but none off site.
Could find the perfect positions to trade right now. A bit of a crossfire already set up from Onyxian.
Fury and Onyxian right now, what you want Fury to do is try to go for a plant. As soon as one of the players from Fury is planting, it's a 3 versus 1 on that last guy who isn't planting. So for Fury, you really want Onyxian to be in that position where they're caught out. You have numbers advantage. You can push. You can use that Yokai drone to prevent that plant going down. And Fury They're just desperate to find a pick.
That line is being held very deep here. Golden has to make a play, doesn't expect Vast to have come up so close, thought maybe that was going to slow him down, but no, it's not to be. A Nixon, they are going to finish 7-1. A dominant performance by all means.
Certainly great result out of tonight's matches for Onyxian. 7-4 after what could have been a rough time on Bank, and then closing it out neatly 7-1 on Kafe.
This has been a night of statements, I think. This has been a start to the Pro League that an Onyxian could only have dreamed of.
And Vast top frag that game as well, 10 kills.
22 across 2 maps tonight. That is a performance from your leader. And like we were saying, lead from the front.
Yeah, I mean, I hate just to focus on kills because there are a lot of other good things that happen in that game too. But Vast, he's been making a good impact, not just in frags. He's had confidence to find entries as well. In fact, let's take a look in that second game then. Pardon me. My fingers are too fat for touchscreens. I've learned that today, by the way.
Fair enough, sausage fingers.
So God Legion was 4-0 in opening kills on that map just then. And Vast was 2-1. So despite playing a flank watch role, Vast was still in on those opening kills. And God Legion, as ever, so hot on those openings, 4 for nothing.
Yeah, it's... I don't want to say that's where the difference is, but when you weigh up what seems to be going wrong for Fury, they're dropping those early frags mostly, or that's what it seems anyway from most of the stats that we have.
And for the most part, we didn't see early kills from Fury, didn't see a lot of opening frags. When they played aggressive, which was often, there was at least 3 opportunities where they spawn peeked or peeked outside in the first 30 seconds of the round, and they got domed 2 of those times at least. So it's not a great spot to be in for Fury, but I think this is a question of Onyxian countering the Fury playstyle. They've watched a lot of Fury VODs. They know how they like to play aggressive. They know the kinds of flanks they like to go for. They know the kinds of peaks they like to go for.
Yep.
And they play patiently and they counter that every step of the way.
Well, you know what? We can confirm that, Dev.
Can we now?
You ready to see how expert your opinion is?
Hell yeah.
All right, let's get Vast on the line from Onyxian here. I mean, that was a very interesting performance, maybe? There we go. I just wanted to make sure that we could get there in the end. Vast, how you doing, mate? How are you feeling after that matchup?
Really excited. It was a really good game, and all my teammates performed really well.
Yep, Dev?
Yeah, I mean, your teammates did perform great, but I want to say this is a large game or large set of games from you individually. I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about your role on the team, not only as captain, but your in-game role. Are you the in-game leader? What kind of a position do you play? And are you usually that player getting frags? And if not, what happened tonight that changed that?
I'm one of the IGLs, so Digital's main IGL. I'm pretty vocal, so I kind of back up IGL here and there. Yeah, I kind of play like the second entry with God Legion, and kind of my role is to focus on like map control. It does change on maps, certain maps, but for the most time, yeah, it's just about getting map control and sometimes flank holding and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, it was really good today. Loved seeing you on the Nomad. Really had a lot of good entries and a lot of good controlling of parts of the environment. Yeah, I've been really impressed with how you guys are going so far. I did just want to take a moment to say that you guys, you went orgless. You're now under the old name of Onyxian. What is it that you guys are kind of looking at for your trajectory moving into the rest of this season? Potentially top 2 is on the cards, potentially getting an organization out there. What are your current ambitions?
Top 2 is our goal this season. Yeah, we don't really have many like ambitions. Like, I don't know. We're just gonna try our best. Try to make LAN. This will be the first time we make APAC finals, so that's just something we want to do. It's kind of hurt us being so close, like a lot of seasons. But yeah, that's basically our goal.
Yep.
2K.
I think you've been on the horizon so many times and you're nearly there. Do you have any final... I mean, I know that you are orgless. Do you have anything that you would like to say to the audience watching, maybe potential org owners, as our job here is almost matchmaking now?
Yeah. Just cheers for the support that we get. We appreciate it. In regards to orgs, we're obviously orgless, as I'm sure it gets mentioned every week. So we hope to not stay that way. if we do make land, we want to be under an org by that time. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Fast, and best of luck in your next matchup.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Rightio,
Well, I learned a lot about Vast's role on the team.
yeah,
Because
that changes, right?
yeah, I liked him saying that it changes map to map, and I think another thing that people don't realize is not everything's cut and dried in competitive play. These guys have 2 IGLs. Digital's their primary IGL, and Digital was away. He's on holiday in Japan. I think he's on holiday. He's in Japan, probably on holiday. So Cynic subbed in, so they missed their primary IGL. I'm sure that did put some extra pressure on Vast in that game. Not only does he play secondary IGL, but he plays secondary fragger.
Yeah.
And he did, I mean, I'm assuming he did IGLing well that game. We can't tell because we didn't get comms. But he did his fragging job really well.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a lot of success. And Onyxian looked really tight. So I think it's safe to say he did both of his primary jobs exceptionally well in those 2 games.
It's good to. It is always good to get them fresh out of the game. I mean, it feels like each broadcast we get them quicker and quicker right after the match. So we're almost getting their raw thoughts there. And I think from Vast's perspective, like that is. He has been, well, the whole team have been so close multiple times now. You think about, I mean, you cast your mind back to last season where Fury knocked them out of the running. Like, they have been on the cusp of taking that APAC LAN, you know, to actually being able to get a little bit more experience from LAN, a little bit more, take a little bit more from this region. And I think the fact that they've set themselves up so nicely, so early on, is incredible for them in their journey.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Onyxian's a team that's been on the up for a long time. It's what we've been talking about. They've had so many opportunities where they've barely missed out on making that next step. They almost didn't make it to the 6 Masters finals when they were in a group of 6 and they only had to get top 4. They almost didn't make that.
Yeah.
And the only reason they did was because one team disbanded. So I feel like that LAN spot, which is their only competitive LAN that they've played at, I think they felt like they didn't fully earn that spot.
Yes.
Whereas last season, they got so close to earning a spot at APAC Finals, and this season it's very much in their sights and very much possible with the way Wildcard's been playing. So I think that it's definitely a trajectory that I see could could follow through rather, going into the end of the season.
It is on the cards, but we're going to turn our eyes toward Fury now. We do have Warden on the line. Never mind, we do not have Warden on the line.
So close.
I was so ready for that, and I was just gonna absolutely no, I wasn't gonna roast him, but I mean, thank you very much, production, for not letting me sit there and being like, you know, staring at the camera for too long. We've had that before.
I can pretend to be Warden if you like.
Oh, Warden, how do you feel after today's game?
Yeah, all right. We played a good game. It just wasn't good enough. There you go, Manic.
Where are you going in the future?
Look, I'm thinking of moving into casting. I think we really need to replace some of these casters on the desk. Look, that Manic guy, he's just not going to cut it.
He's not going to cut it at all, is he? He's getting.
I'm sorry for talking to you like that, Rob.
You just like. I mean, look, I'll just dig my own hole now. Like,
it's okay. I mean, you already did it by throwing to the interview before it was.
I know, right? And like the problem was, it wasn't even like a soft throw. I couldn't even like play it off and be like, we're going to be 2 seconds away. I'm like, and Warden is there. Well, that's a complete lie.
Now we are going to go and stare intently at Manic and make him feel very self-conscious. Okay, look, we can't talk to Warden. We can talk about Warden. We can talk about the Fury and kind of their trajectory.
Okay. I was literally just getting comfortable for a second, and I nearly went to throw again. We are just feeling very comfortable here right now. I think that Fury's trajectory toward like the later parts of this season is going to be very interesting. I think where they've been so far, right? They've versed Wildcard, they've versed Fnatic, and now they've versed Onyxian. That's the top 3 teams out of the way, Dev.
Yeah, and that looks really good because their goal isn't to get top 2 like Onyxian's is. Their goal is to get top 4. And like you said, they've already played against the 3 top teams. They took a great victory against Wildcard, which makes a huge difference. And moving into the rest of the season, they can focus on beating the teams that are a lot more achievable, if you might say.
Yes.
And so playing against teams like Kanga, like TBD, who they've also beat previously in the past, going against teams like Homeless, there are going to be challenges there. But there are also going to be opportunities to really lock in those top 4 spots.
I think moving forward from here, we now need to set our sights more so toward the future for Fury, because I think, you know, the groundwork's been done.
Yeah.
They've laid themselves a very good foundation, if I do say so myself. I mean, you look at the results against Wildcard and Fnatic, Unfortunately, that result against Onyxian, especially on Kafe, is not something that will be repeated or they will want to repeat. However, this is still a point at which their season is not on the line because, you know, they're actually doing fairly well. However, their expectations of themselves is on the line.
Yeah, I think that they're starting to become more comfortable with themselves as a team, and they're getting new expectations about what they can realistically achieve.
Yeah.
And what's great is they're not intimidated by these top-level teams.
No.
And Wildcard, Fury's playstyle relies on them having confidence because they play so aggressively.
Yeah.
They're spawn peeking when they're like 5-1 down. And I'm not saying that as a criticism. You might say it as a criticism sometimes, but sometimes if what you're really good at is playing hyper-aggressive, you need to back yourself.
Yes.
When you're in a tough position, it's actually good to keep up your confidence, go for those aggressive plays, because if you go and you slip into playing passive, and you're not actually very good at playing passive, your specialization is playing aggressive, then you're going to fail anyway.
Yeah.
And I think Fury, they're really good at playing aggressive. They've mastered that, and that got them a great performance against Wildcard. And Onyxian were much better at countering that. And if Fury can just develop a little bit more diversity in their play style, and they go to their aggression when they think it's going to work, and then they seep back into alternate routes when it's not going to work, I think they're going to have a much better season moving on.
And one point that, again, I don't know whether you have touched on this or not. I feel like we've touched on a lot of points tonight because we've had so much time to do so. The fact that Fury have already played on Kafe, I do think might have led into a little bit more for Onyxian.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To be able to, I mean, yes, Onyxian played on Kafe as well, but you know what Onyxian are going to do, which is it can change every round, which is just that slow, methodical play. They play off the intel that they get, whereas Fury are like, I'm going to get aggressive.
That's it. Like, Fury playing aggressive, you watch a VOD and you say, okay, this player likes to spawn peek out of this window, so I'm going to make sure I drone extra that window, and you start to get the tendencies of aggressive players. The reason aggression works is because it's unexpected, and when you start to expect aggression, it loses that magic, and you start to easily counter it. Whereas the methodical play style of a Onyxian, you can know it's coming, and it can be much harder to actually counter. So I think that definitely having VODs on both of these teams for Kafe, it certainly would favor Onyxian.
Well, whether it's favoured Onyxian or not, they have been able to pull it out too.
Oh, yeah.
However, we do get to hear from Warden, so let's take it over, hear what he has to say. G'day, mate. How are you doing after today's matchup? I was just looking at the wrong camera now. I'm looking directly at you. How's everything been, mate? I mean, a bit of a rocky night for you guys, but are you still feeling okay after that one?
Yeah, not too bad. Look, I mean, like, we tried. We just made way too many mistakes at the end, and Onyxian simply played better than us. No other way to put it.
I really love your shirt, by the way, Warden.
Thank you.
So it's been, I think, a pretty good season so far. You've put up strong performances that you've talked at in previous interviews, and today maybe it wasn't quite what you were hoping for, but moving into the rest of the season, we've talked about the way that your team has improved, even with rosters. With Sushi playing today, was that a sub moment, and how do you think that the roster is developing with Muesli and Sushi? I'm interested if you told us a bit more about that.
We're getting pretty good. Muesli is actually on holiday right now. Unfortunately, it's just a timing sort of issue. So Sushi did sub in. Yeah, he's been a pretty good sub. He played absolutely phenomenal tonight. Sorry. So we're pretty happy with how he did. But we feel like this break is going to really do our team good, especially since we had a pretty decent start to the season.
Yeah, definitely. And moving into the second half, we were talking earlier on the desk about how you have, in theory, versed a lot of the harder teams so far. So moving on and maybe picking it up, you're playing in your own kind of bracket now. Are you expecting to have a strong performance against teams such as Homeless, Sinister, and the like? Do you think that they're going to be much more achievable for you guys?
Yeah, hopefully. We're hoping to potentially not drop a map in the second half. That's obviously the goal. But yeah, we feel like we're pretty happy that we versed sort of like a lot of the top teams first. So it just sort of gives us more time to work on stuff and sort of get the harder games out the way. And hopefully we can actually perform well in the second half.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, do you have any final words for us? Do you have any final words for the people at home?
Thanks for watching. Hopefully we play better next time.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Warden, and best of luck in your next matchup.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Now we've heard from both teams. Fury obviously don't seem too rattled,
No.
which is good. I think Warden is that kind of guy.